Good morning. Welcome back to Flight of the Next podcast. We're doing a World Cup special, more World Cup content coming to you from, so we'll go around the room. We'll introduce ourselves. I'm Jonathan. I'm here in Rotorua. Who's next? Say hello.
I'm Denise. I am here in Hawke's Bay right now, over in Taradell.
I'm Holly. I'm currently in Brisbane, but usually live in Sydney.
And I'm Ethan. New guest for today. I'm from Lower Hutt, big Knicks fan, and yeah.
So Ethan is a long-time listener, first-time caller. Ding, 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 ding. So he's first time calling on the podcast. Hopefully we will get him in on some more. Ethan's one of the biggest fans of football in New Zealand, so we're very, very pleased to have him with us today. So I'm just going to kick it over to Denise. We'll get this party started.
Yeah, get the party started. I mean, the World Cup has been wild. We're going to talk about the Football Ferns first, but we won't. We absolutely need to talk about the rest of the field and what's going on. But let's get right to the Ferns. Since the last time we podcast, they had 2 matches. It was we have to talk about the Philippines match in Wellington. Coming off the big Norway win, a lot of buzz about the Ferns, a lot of excitement. Ethan, you were there. Tell us.
Yeah, so I was at the last 2 games.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Philippines one was probably the biggest loss of this tournament, in all honesty, because, I mean, the first half we just looked a bit average, sluggish in midfield, as opposed to dominant against Norway. But then we came out the second half, and I think we had about at least 7 or 8 very good scoring opportunities. Wilkinson lobbed a couple over the offside, the post, Jale's late on, and it just wasn't our day. I mean, another day that's a 5-0 or 5-1. But yeah, that day, no, it wasn't, and it cost us dearly. So
yeah, so the Philippines had Stajic. How do you say his name? Stajic,
I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, as a coach, and he had a very good game plan. Go in, rough up the Ferns, really play them, get them out of the rhythm. They knew they were going to be there and fight for their country, but if you get them out of their head of what they needed to do and relax and play and look for their passes, look for their teammates, that was a good game plan. And what I learned was 18 out of the 23 players are of American heritage. And, we know how to rough people up, but it was a very, very good game plan that he had. And there are a lot of just heartbreaking chances in that match. Anyone want to talk about their least favorite heartbreaking chance or most favorite?
The offside.
Yeah.
Should we get a belt sander and shave off much of Hannah Wilkinson's head? That offside. I mean, it's the right call, but that's the moment that it all hinged on. It's very frustrating, but I don't know. What can you do? The only thing you can do is advocate changing the rules.
Change the rules.
Yeah. I mean, I would be happy around changing the rule around the feet or something like that, make it, but yeah. I mean, we can't go back and undo that, but that was just so heartbreaking. And then like New Zealand got mad because somehow the dude who actually made the call was also like one of the refs from Qatar. Do you know anything about that, any of you guys? I mean, it seemed a bit of noise to me, but I get it that was incredibly heartbreaking. Also heartbreaking for me was Grace Jolly's actually very good attempt right at the end. They put her on. She stayed very calm. She stayed out wide. She waited her turn, waited for the ball to come, and she did what she needed to do. You know, the ball came. She put it back towards across the net, and it was just a very, very good block by the goalkeeper off the fingertips. It was just wow. That was that hurt.
I think one thing about Grace Charlie that got me is we subbed on Liv Chance and Grace Charlie, and I thought they were in the wrong position because we kind of played the two strikers and the two wingers, and we had Liv Chance playing up top and Grace Charlie putting the crosses in, whereas I thought we would have had them the other way round, whereas Liv's got quite a good delivery and Grace Charlie is about 5 inches taller than Liv. I thought maybe Grace Charlie's presence in the box would have been a bit more useful than Liv Chance's runs through, especially when the Philippines were sitting deep. But that was about the only tactical thing I kind of felt a bit off about. Because, yeah, we saw the sub and went, oh, yeah, Charlie up top, Liv out wide. Makes sense. Then we watched it for the last 15 and we're like, wait, no, they're in the wrong positions. Like, we should swap them. But, yeah, other than that, I think that was the only questionable thing, but it was pretty much our best team out there.
Yeah. I mean, from my vantage point, Jolly was out on the wing. But then also Liv, it was confusing to me what their actual role was. Now that you mentioned that, because they both drifted wide, but then Liv was also penetrating in the middle. And yeah, I mean, ideally, Jolly should be donking them in. You know, she's got the strength, she's got the height, she's an adequate replacement for Hannah Wilkinson. So yeah. Anything else?
I wonder if and this is not being rude or condescending, but Jale is extremely quick, which is fantastic because she's got light feet. But at the same time, like when we look at Wilkinson with her physical presence, like she's a unit. And I'm just wondering whether, at the next World Cup, Jale will be, she'll be a little bit older and her physical dominance may be there a little bit more. So she may end up playing, being the replacement for Wilkie if or when she retires. She'll still be quick, but not as quick as she is now. But with that physical presence and height, she really poses a really good attacking option through the forward in years to come.
Yeah, I agree there. I think she was rather underutilized this World Cup, especially when we had a lot of success with Hannah Wilkinson up top across all 3 games, and then we weren't bringing on the like-for-like replacement, the fresh legs with 20 minutes to go. I think if in some of those games, if we had brought on Jale, we could have kept peppering them aerially and whipping balls in. But yeah, just with a fresher set of legs. So yeah, that would have been it's the only kind of odd thing. But yeah, Yeah,
and I think personnel decisions are a good thing for this podcast to discuss, because like I said, I would have made some different decisions. I definitely would have put on some more, I would have rotated the players a bit more. I realized this was your best team. However, it's your best team that's a little bit older with a little bit less rest. And, a lot of these Knicks players played in, that's their home, right? They are comfortable. They are comfortable looking across the field and seeing each other in that home. And, I don't know, like, what was up with Michaela Foster. I don't know, Paige Satchel had a minor injury. Anyone else that you would have liked to have seen more play in this World Cup?
Gabby Rennie spent a lot of time sitting on the bench. Daisy Cleverly didn't really get a run. As Ethan said, it would have been great to see Jale getting a lot more time. You're right. There's more players that we could have potentially have utilised and brought in.
Yeah, you see it in some of the other matches, and we'll get to that you go, yeah, those are your best, but are they playing, are they a little bit tired? Are they as fresh as they can be? I mean, it's a big toll that the World Cup takes. So let's get into the review of the Switzerland match.
I was going to say one more thing, that our game plan seemed to be, at least for the first half, just pump the ball into the box and hope that Wilkie gets on the end of it. But every time they did that, she had 3 players on her. Like, what is she supposed to do? That she had 3 players on her. That's impossible for almost everybody. So when they brought on Liv Chance, she actually started doing things like earlier balls, balls on the ground, and that was a game changer. And it's just unfortunate that it didn't work out in the end. But you can't, and we'll talk about the Germany game, you can't just rely on just long balls into the box being your only option. And well, the Matildas have that problem sometimes as well. Long balls into the box and hoping that your star heading or aerial capability can get on the end of it.
Yeah, they looked like a different team with Liv Chance in there. Really gave them some energy.
Yeah, and just another thing with Liv Chance, talking about players didn't play, Mickey Foster, she has a fantastic ability with the set piece. And, Liv was tasked with taking set pieces in both the Philippines game and in the third game we played. And while she was good, she just wasn't quite as precise. Or, if she was taking them from the right, if we had Mickey Foster, she could have been taking them from the left. And because Mickey just has that whole different dynamic, which I think we missed. But you guys are actually right. Like, Liv made a difference in those plays, but Mickey Foster, a fit and rearing to go Mickey Foster would have potentially been a complete game changer for us on those opportunities.
The thing is, if you take Mickey Foster off, so put Mickey Foster on, you're taking Ali Riley off.
The problem was for the Philippines game, we didn't have a fit Mickey Foster, which is the biggest issue of them all. Was she actually, her name was blanked out on the team sheet because she had the hamstring injury for that game. But I still think it would have been, especially maybe even the Switzerland game, like you're saying, Ali Riley is probably better than Mickey Foster as a left back. But when you're, needing to score, you put on a more attacking minded fullback so that they can put the crosses in so you can have that extra number. So, something like that would have been a bit nicer to see. But, it was really unfortunate she pulled up before the Philippines game, because that would have been perfect for her.
So, Ethan, you were down at Dunedin. Tell us more about that experience, the match. You were the only one out of the group to go, so take us through it.
It was, so bowled down there for the Swiss-New Zealand game and the Netherlands-Vietnam game. And I guess we kind of had the same old problems with New Zealand. I'd argue that we had our best performance in the Philippines game. Like, we looked at our best in our Philippines game from everything apart from the shots on goal. But again, just, I dare say, classic New Zealand. Lots of great defence, winning lots of midfield, and it's just we're not getting in the box and we're not taking the shots. And nothing really was coming off there. So
it was a little heartbreaking. They took off Rhea Percival, which I thought was interesting. I can't remember who was substituted for her.
I have that here. Percival, Jale.
Yeah, I thought it was Jale. Which is not really a like for like. I know they needed attack minding, but as you see in a lot of other matches, it's important to have that midfield engine going.
Yeah. I think maybe, again, potentially pulling off, no offense to Ali Riley, but someone like Ali Riley, one of your fullbacks, so that you can leave less at the back and push a bit more forward, because I think we knew that we weren't going through with a draw. Yep. CJ was great when inverted as well, but maybe an extra one on the left to push someone out up top, or an extra body in the midfield to help there. But just again, wasn't our day.
Players who played well, Katie Bowen played well. Really, just her veteran leadership on the team. You could really feel in the match, like Allie Riley, just, she's great in the locker room, great in front of the camera, and actually a really great player. But Katie Bowen, I think, was just really held the team together. Any other standout performances that you guys want to talk about over the tournament?
Personally,
before the cup started, I wrote an article for Impetus, and in it I said that Malia Steinmetz was going to be one of the keys for the Ferns. And when Malia was on and she stepped up, she was really good and she unlocked our attacking potential. And when she wasn't on, we were flat and so on. But I think Malia is key for the future.
100%. She was so switched on for that Norway match. Wow. I really was very impressed. And your article, Jonathan, kept going through my head. I was like, yeah, dude's right. She fell flat in the other matches. So
she did good work in the Swiss match, but then also undid it herself. Like she'd win the ball and then not play the right next pass and something, and rather uncharacteristic from Malia. But yeah, maybe, I don't know, we had the depth in centre midfield to potentially sub her out, but yeah, it wasn't quite the one for her, the Swiss game. But I think CJ all tournament was, I dare say, a shock on how good she was. She looked like an absolute threat every time she either went wide, came inside, won a lot, and put a lot of good balls through. So
yeah. I always like it when CJ just winds up at the ball and gives it a quick kick at the goal. I would have liked to have seen a few more shots like that. I mean, they're not always the highest percentage shots, but they make people step out to her and perhaps create a little bit more space. Hey, any sort of reactions around the sort of the social media of some of these players? I know they get these photos and from the team and then put things out there. Anyone have anything that they want to say? I think it was really go ahead, Ethan.
Most of the football fans seem to be very supportive, and I'd agree the team did do very well. I mean, if you'd have told us beginning of the tournament 2 clean sheets and 4 points, would you take it? Yes. I mean, what was it? 15 women's games and 6 men's games before the tournament, no wins at a World Cup. So if someone said, do you take a win? Yeah, 100% you do. And yeah, it was massive on home soil, 3 sellout crowds. It was a raging success, apart from the fact that it also was not a success because we almost performed too well in the Norway game and showed the potential in the Philippines. The team knew that they could contribute more and get a round of 16. So that's where the real heartbreak is. Of the fine line of, you got your 4 points, but it wasn't enough. Especially when 2 other pools have had teams progress on 4 points as well. So, to go out on goal difference is rough.
Ollie?
I don't know. It's rough. I mean, look, if you like Ethan said, if you told us before the tournament or made us the offer, you can have 4 points, you can beat Norway, you'd grab it with both hands and be really excited. It's just that we got so close to actually getting to the round of 16, and I mean, it's sort of, you wonder. So we're sort of one of those countries that were like a bit of a first mover in terms of women's football. But that advantage, and this is the same with everybody else, is quickly disappearing because all these other countries are catching up. And also being a home World Cup, I just sort of feel like, was that like our chance and it's gone now, or does it inspire new investment and new energy and new players that we do actually build and become more competitive. So I just don't know which it is.
Yeah, I mean, we'll never get a group as easy as we got. Unfortunately, I have to say that. Like, it was a privilege to host this World Cup. However, never say never. Like, the Ferns could improve. They have a lot of good younger players. I'm going to read this post by Vic Essen. She said, this one's going to hurt for a while, but regardless, thank you, Aotearoa, for your incredible support. The country completely embraced the tournament, and as players, we have hope to inspire the younger generation. Dream big, be brave. Kia kaha, New Zealand, Football Ferns, New Zealand flag. And I think that kind of summed it up to be a little sappy, like they Kiwis didn't know who these people were, right? You talk to average New Zealanders, and then a week later, 2 weeks later, average New Zealanders know these names. And, tens, and I don't know what the final attendance was for all these matches, but let's just roughly say about 150,000, 140,000, something like that. It's a lot of people to have eyes on New Zealand football players and women. All these people are like, yeah, I didn't know the women could draw that much. Well, hey, guess what? They're drawing that much. They're fully entertaining and full of passion, and got very, very close. The only poetry I can say about ending the Swiss match and not getting through on draws was, I think their next opponent would have been Japan. And that would have been a really hard match, possibly a whipping, but it would have been really great for them to get through.
I would have loved to have seen us play Japan. I wouldn't have loved to get us playing Japan, because I'm pretty sure Japan would have wiped the floor of us. But watching the Ferns go against Japan, that would have just made my whole World Cup. I would have been in seventh heaven if that had happened, because Japan is so good, and watching our Ferns go up with a team of that talent would have just have been. But on a different note, we have 12 months until the Olympics. So we've got 12 months. There's a lot to build towards. There's a lot to be excited about. We're gonna have a team lining up again in a year's time. So it's not all bad.
Yeah, that's the fortunate thing about New Zealand, is that we sit in Oceania and we qualify for the Olympics in women's football. It's almost very automatic. So yeah, that's good. That's in France, and that'll be there'll be in Marseille, they'll be in Lyon, and the heart of Europe. Hey, good luck. It's only an 18-person roster rather than 23. So that's an exciting, again, another way to look at what are your essential players. Real quick, how do you guys think Yitka did?
Yika's an interesting case, personally. It's a fine line between, I'm not sure if she's doing great work or not utilizing the squad at all. And I don't know if we ever will know, or how long it will take us to know what the squad can do. But yeah, it's a very interesting line. Yeah.
The contract runs for another, 2 or 3 years?
2027, I believe.
All right, so that they signed her for a long way away.
Contract. It was really long.
That's not
6.
That's not normal. So
no.
Yeah.
But then also, you can always speculate, is that the reason why, she wasn't not let go earlier, why we kept her on for so long during a poor run of form. But then the Ferns did perform for the World Cup. From watching us, I think it was the friendlies we had in Dubai before, we battled against Iceland and Nigeria, and that was some hard football to watch, as opposed to going to the Vietnam pre-World Cup game and watching the rest of them. We played a lot better football. So yeah, I think if we definitely stepped up massively for the World Cup. But yeah, I think this team just needs a lot more regular football like the men. Good regular football. And it's in a good shape now where the team doesn't pick itself, because there's a lot more very good professionals. And I think, good number of years ago, it was, who are the 23, professional players, let's try find them. I think through the exclusion of someone like Michaela, which was obviously very heartbreaking, but it showed that we have a lot of depth and we can choose properly our best teams for tournaments. So it's not all doom and gloom, but there is a lot of potential in this squad currently and to come. So it does need to be utilised.
I do like that she looked at 50 players. 50 players hit the pitch for New Zealand this past year. And you played some tough teams, right? We played Korea. I mean, look what they did to Germany last night. We played Portugal. They nearly beat the US. We played some, in retrospect, looking at how they performed, some very good teams to get into this. And the Philippines, they they learned from the match we played against them, didn't they?
So just quickly, because I've got to sign off in a minute, but just my thoughts on Yitka and the long contract. I think if we look back historically over the life of the Football Ferns in the last 10 years, there were some pretty big ups and some pretty big downs. And I think Football New Zealand brought Yitka in on the long term to try and ride out, smooth out some of those ups and downs. And when we look at the longer term, I think if she's got another 2 or 3 years, New Zealand football are actually building a foundation for a legacy for the Ferns. It's not just, we could have brought in a coach, they come and do one tournament and then they leave, but there's nothing left behind. Whereas what Yitka and New Zealand football are doing is building a foundation for the future. With her tactics at the Cup, were they correct? It's always questionable, especially as a fan watching, because we want to see them win. But I do think she did the best with the players that we had available. And the players, and New Zealand, I think we have a very good strength at creating defenders. We have some amazing world-class centre backs and midfields, and we got some pretty good wings. But then you get up the front, and then the stocks start to dry up a little bit. We're not quite there yet. So I think Yitka did a great job managing who we have and the talent supply we have. I'm just going to duck out, but I'll be back shortly, so I'll leave you guys to chat away.
Yeah, I mean, the word Millie Clegg is put in quite a bit. She doesn't have a lot of experience. She barely has any experience on the international stage, but youth like her, we just have to develop, I would have liked to see some kids thrown out there, especially in some of the final minutes, to see if they could have some legs, push it quick, don't give a care about this or that, just go for it, like just new puppies or something.
Yeah, on the Yitka one, I think we should 100% let it ride out the Olympics campaign. She's got the squad, got it this far, built it up, and then I don't know if that all crumbles, reconsider, but reconsider after that, because she's made bounds with the squad, and then can pick it. But I think one that surprised me was the Jackie Hand. I had not really, in all honesty, heard too much about Jackie Hand, and it was a bit of a shock when I saw her starting against Vietnam and then all 3 games. But crikey, she proved everyone wrong. I think she was probably our best attacking player the whole tournament. Was it 2 times she hit the post? Yeah, it was just, plus a couple in that Vietnam game as well. And yeah, she looks very good and is still quite young on the scale of footballers. So will be a very good one to watch for the future.
Holly, do you want to comment on that?
I mean, I think there's this tendency to hire and fire coaches in the professional game too quickly. You hear about clubs, like professional clubs, that go through 4 managers in the space of 2 seasons or something like that. So, I mean, I think saying, look, at least stick with her until the Olympics are done. We'll see from there. But look, I mean, she's got the long contract, so I don't know how they let her go if she's not. I don't know. It's really hard to.
Yeah, you'd have to pay her. I love Ethan's point about Jackie Hand. Wow, she was great. And we would be idiots not to mention her. So Ethan, thank you for bringing her up. Yes, she was, if either of those two balls were just centimeters in different directions, I mean, she would have been the hero of the tournament. So yeah, she's really good. And I need more eyes on her. Who does she play for? Does anyone know?
I think it's some Scandinavian team.
Yeah.
And because we don't actually see their games, you don't know who they are.
Yeah. Well, let's get her on the pod and really start to follow her, because she was something else.
At first, especially the keeping up with overseas players. I don't know if you guys follow, but the niche case, especially good. I find them just really good, especially for the women's players. They do their little blurb of how they've gone each week, and that's especially helping me keep track of all the names. And now that we have so many ferns in practically every Scandinavian country, it's quite a lot. But yeah, we'll definitely be following her a lot more now that she's proven herself to all of New Zealand that she should start every game for us now. So
Yeah, fantastic shout out to that website and that publication. Okay, well, the fun part, let's see. Shall I read the knockouts? Or shall we just go through some of the games? I mean, Holly, you were at one last night. Oh, sorry, Holly. So. Oh no, she looks like she's gonna cry. Oh man, that was tough. Oh, talk to me, Holly. Who did you watch? What happened?
So I'm also a Germany fan, ranked number 2 in the world. We thrashed Morocco in the opening game, 6-0. But I was watching the game, people around me said, oh, Germany's amazing, they're going to have a great run. There were so many problems, like misplaced passes were a huge one, and just like that same tactic of like just hit it in and hope that Pop gets on the end of it, which worked a few times for sure. But there were a lot of problems from day one, and Colombia at least were a good team to lose to, but the match yesterday was shocking. Korea are not that good. They hit an early goal and they did threaten a couple of times on the counter-attack, but I mean, Germany dominated that game, and it was just shit defending, shit passing in the midfield, shit game plan for like just trying to play the ball to Pop every time. Although we did try to play through balls, like, or through the centre of defence. Germany deserved to go out, like, on the performances that they put up. It was absolutely horrendous, and not good enough. So whilst I'm gutted, I just it's like they didn't want it. I don't know. I don't know whether they were like, oh, this is an easy group, and mentally they weren't up for it. But they were just standing there and watching Korea get to the ball first when it was 10 minutes to go and they needed a win. It didn't help that Colombia looked like they were just having a friendly kickabout at the park with Morocco. They did not look like they were trying. But yeah, no, Germany were not good enough, even in the game that they won, so, like, quite emphatically. The problems were there. So I'm pretty gutted. I'm angry. I'm angry about Germany going out. I'm angry at the team and the coach. Almost felt like booing the players. There was only like a handful of people like Lawman and Pop who were actually like felt like they were making an effort. So yeah, I'm pretty angry and upset about that. So who do I support now? Probably just the Matildas. See how far they get.
Well, I mean, Germany did lose to Zambia in the build-up. You know, they did not look like the European run-ups. Although I would argue, Holly, that Korea is actually a good team. They won the Asian Cup, so they had to beat Japan. They had to beat China. I mean, they have, you know, Ji So Young, or G, and she's just really good. You know, we don't get to see tons of Korean players play, but they are. I would argue they were really good and played with a lot of heart and deserved more than 1 point in that tournament. Yeah, I mean, Germany's kind of the same as the US. I mean, you know, when the US went to Europe, we lost to England, we lost to Spain, and we eked out a win against Germany. But they're in the kind of the same boat. They look like Tobin Heath, a former retired player, said they look like 11 players playing 11 different games, like 11 different matches. They don't look like they're together. And their mid-season in the NWSL, they had, I don't even know if it was 2 weeks together. I think it was about a week and a half together. And back in the day, the U.S. national team looked like a club team. They looked like they knew each other, you know, understood what each other had for breakfast. You know, they just really, really knew each other. And now the NWSL is not set up to support the U.S. women's national team now. In fact, they have nothing to do with the U.S. women's national team. And that's a good thing, but it doesn't mean that they come together and all know how to play together. And so, you know, the U.S. nearly lost the other day to Portugal. And I would say they kind of were in the same boat. They probably deserved to lose. You know, somehow they win, and that's part of the mentality. But I don't know.
It's luck.
That
was the difference between the US getting in and Germany not getting in, because they have lots of really good attacks and shots that just didn't quite work out. So it's probably a similar thing where they probably both deserve to go out in the group stage based on their performances. But yeah, it's luck, and the margins are so fine in football, and it's just how it happens.
And I will say, hey, hooray for Morocco, the first Muslim nation to make it to the round of 16. Like, congratulations. Ethan, you got any sort of dark horses?
You can put Canada in the same boat there as well. I think they're a team who came in with expectations, and I don't want to say complacency, but they did look just not very good, I must say. You know, they bottomed out of their group, and I think that's going to be one to watch purely for the fact of the struggles that the Canadian FA are in at the moment, and that could very hurt them hard, because they probably needed the prize money, if I'm going to be honest, of going deep in this tournament. And yeah, with all their off-field issues, I think it's come back to haunt Canada really badly, and hence they've exited early. But yeah, one thing that got me is a lot of us who haven't kept up with a lot of international women's football expected the powerhouses to really show. You know, we expected your big developed football countries with big leagues, like your top 5 Europe leagues, someone like Italy, to do a lot better, someone like Germany, you know, countries that have really good men's structures, probably very great men's training facilities and everything. And a lot of them just underperformed almost. Yeah, well, Brazil went out, Argentina went out. A lot of, big men's nations underperformed. And I think it's also an interesting point that you can't judge them. And it's for the countries that are very good with men's, you know, it's not that hard, I'd say. You've got your structure for your men's team. You've got the facilities. You know, apply that to your women's game and get the pathways through, you know, use the same facilities. I don't know what the thing is, but I probably expected a bit more from your classic big nations. But then also,
I could talk about Brazil. Brazil finally got a good coach, you know, former Swedish coach, former U.S. women's national team coach. She, Pia Sundhagen, she finally has the country behind her. And they were such good players, and never made it to the World Cup and to the World Cup sort of semis or finals. And this was their year, honestly. They had Dabinia, they had Caroline, they had so many really good players, and just kind of choked. I mean, and it's unfortunate because like they did like get themselves set up where Argentina has not. They have not really put their money where their mouth is. That's still a mess. Another mess is Jamaica. Listen, this is their second World Cup, both times sponsored by Bob Marley's daughter. I know I personally got a reach out about a month and a half ago to send money to them so that they could even make their expenses, make it to the World Cup. So incredible. They have Bunny Shaw, who's just a superstar. And guess what? Well, they've made it one more round, and guess what? They all get paid more. This is the first World Cup where the federation doesn't get all the money. Some of the money goes right to the players. Thank God.
I heard that wasn't actually true.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I've actually heard since that FIFA has said that, but it's not actually enforceable. So who knows?
FIFA.
Jamaica are a tactically interesting one because you look at the statistics. They scored 1 goal, conceded none, and ended up with 5 points. Like, yeah, they went 0-0 draw, 1-0 win, 0-0 draw, and came second in the group. I think their game against France, where in the first round, a lot of the big teams all started slow. A lot of the big teams got caught up by their first games, and they just, weren't on the ball. So it almost could have cost France, but they beat Brazil, which was good for them. And someone like Spain went really sluggish in the first round as well. They dispatched not nearly as many as they should have against someone like Costa Rica. But big credit to that. That's going out there as a little country. You park the bus, take your counterattacks, and they got their one chance, and they ended up going through. So that's absolutely massive, and shows tournament football is a different thing to league or friendlies. You got to set yourself up different.
Absolutely. South Africa going through Katlana and being
What a big game that was.
One of my favorite players ever. I've been following her since her Houston Dash days, and now she's at Racing Louisville. She's fun to watch. She's really cool. So
the Italy game was very, very exciting. Scary exciting watching it. 1-0 all, 2-1, 2-all, 3-2, and simply just incredible for them. So but they looked good as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the exciting thing about women's football. It just, hopefully these teams will let me just go through the round of 16. We can do quick predictions, very quick. Switzerland, Spain. I'm going Spain.
Spain, easy. Should be. Switzerland were not good.
No.
They were not good.
They didn't offer much going forwards. But
Yeah. Even with Ramona Bachmann, they didn't look good. All right, so Netherlands, South Africa.
I'll be barracking for South Africa. I'll be going to that game, but again, they'd be very lucky.
I am half Dutch, and in my very unbiased opinion, it's going to be the Netherlands very much. Yeah, they looked incredible.
Yeah, I think South Africa, I feel like they're down one player. I can't remember, but my heart will be with South Africa, and that's all I'll say about that one. Japan, Norway.
Japan.
Sweden versus USA.
That's tough. That's probably one of the hardest to decide.
I personally think Sweden. No offense to the USA, but the Sweden are in red hot form at the moment, and they look like the real deal. So I'm going to go for the Swedish.
Holly?
I think Sweden probably deserved to go through based on their performances, but it's who turns up on the night. It's luck. It's many things. So that will be one of the big games to watch.
Yeah, I always said that Sweden being at NZCIS, where the Wellington Phoenix play, I think that was a very good choice of facility. It allows them to really rest and recover there, something that's essential for the Women's World Cup. But now they're flying to Melbourne. It was a bit warmer. I never root against or predict anything other than the red, white, and blue. So that's my choice. Australia, Denmark.
Australia.
Yeah, I'm going to go Aussie too. I think with the real home advantage, it's not to be understated, and knockout football's knockout football. So,
yeah. And they'll probably have Sam Kerr back.
I think so, yes.
France, Morocco. France.
Probably France, yeah.
My head says France, but my heart says Morocco. But yeah, they did look a bit unconvincing, Morocco. So yeah, it just is France.
Yeah. Two more. England, Nigeria.
You'd have to say England, right? They are one of the best squads and everything, but it just depends. Will they turn up on the day? Because Nigeria can give them problems. So
go Super Falcons.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just be contradictory there and go with my neon green. Holly?
It's that's another one that's kind of hard to tell. Nigeria are actually quite a good team. I mean, you saw what they did to Australia. Though I don't. I mean, yes, probably England, but I wouldn't write off Nigeria.
Yeah, maybe it'll go to penalties. All right, and then the final one, Colombia, Jamaica. That was fire. I'm looking forward to that one.
It'll be good.
Yeah.
I don't know what to pick there.
I think Colombia personally.
I'm Colombia.
So one of the things about these rounds of 16, someone noticed, is that of the 8 matches, 3 of them are colonizers versus colonized.
Yeah.
So France, Morocco, England, Nigeria, and Netherlands, South Africa. So let's go the colonized. There's actually quite a lot of potential matchups across the entire World Cup if the draw had been different. France, Vietnam, for example, that would have been the same thing. So yeah, I just think that's interesting that there are 3 of the 8 matchups are colonizers.
Well, so what does that mean for Colombia and Jamaica? Colonized, or is Colombia colonized?
No, those not every match, just 3 of the matches.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
So Dutch colonized South Africa, England colonized Nigeria,
France colonized
Morocco was the idea.
Fair enough. And they speak perfect English in Sweden. I don't know how. They just
There's some interesting things on this knockout stage, though. Unlike other tournaments, is that people from the same group will meet again before the final. I don't know if anyone else has picked up on this, but the Netherlands-USA will be the semi-final. And normally you have it that you can't meet the teams, but it's all the same. It's like the A to D pools are all on one half of the bracket, and then the E to H, I didn't just count, E to H are on the other side.
So I think, with all due respect, you're wrong about the Netherlands USA could meet in the semifinals.
Yeah, but I think most other tournaments, you don't get the pool matches meeting until finals. That's kind of how it's been.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Then also you've got the big one of one side is, I dare say, a lot more difficult at the moment. You've got only one of Japan, Sweden, USA, Spain, or Netherlands can make the final.
Mm.
and only one of Japan, Sweden, and USA are making the semi-final.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really tough side of the bracket.
Yeah, it's interesting. Before the tournament, I always thought the other side of the bracket was the tough one. But now that all these teams have been knocked out, we're left with the, or we're meaning the bracket of USA, Sweden, Japan, Netherlands is the tough side of the bracket. So I think good teams in the past want to play good teams to make it through, to make it legit. But some of these big teams are looking so shaky that they just want to get there however they can.
Yeah. And sometimes they just want the old, we made it to the semi-final, because in 20 years, people might not remember who, but they'll remember that you got knocked out at the round of 16, so.
Yeah, there's going to be some interesting reactions after the Sweden-USA match between either of those countries. It's just classic. Sweden and the US just play each other at every major tournament. And they knock each other out. There's, the US might have a little edge, but the Swedes, really habitually knock out the US. So this is nothing new, this sort of grudge match. Anything else? All right. Well, it's been a really fun tournament. Everyone on the podcast today has made it to matches. What a privilege to have this on our lands, and I'm going to be going to a couple more quarterfinals in one day with a flight in between. And Ethan, do you have anything left that you're going to?
One more left, so the round of 16, the Japan-Norway game in Wellington, and then checking the resale portal for what should be the Dutch quarterfinal, but they're gone, and but that will bring me up to 9, maybe 10 games for the tournament.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm floating at sort of the 8 or 9 mark, and I'll be traveling as well. And Holly, you're staying in Australia?
Yeah, for now. If New Zealand had made the round of 16, I was thinking about whether I could potentially get over, but obviously that didn't happen. I've got quite a few games still to go to. I think 6 or 7, because Sydney has a ton of games, and then I'm also coming up to Brisbane again for the third place playoff. So I've still got plenty of games to go to. And this, as much as I'm angry about Germany's performance, and I'm really sad about New Zealand's performance. This has been a crazy, chaotic tournament, and there's going to be so much fun left in it. And hopefully the Matildas do well. I'll jump on that semi-support bandwagon a little bit more strongly. So yeah, it'll be great. And you know what? There's something kind of nice about attending neutral games where it doesn't actually matter what the result is, because you don't actually feel it's much more fun. You don't feel, like watching the other group games for that France and Jamaica went through. You sort of stress about that because you're like, well, if Germany goes through, they're playing one of these, so it'll be fun. The rest of the tournament can be fun for me.
Yeah, let's have some fun. This is a great time for New Zealand and for what we love. So let's keep having fun, and let's meet again soon. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the Flight of the Nyx podcast. Thank you, Ethan. Amazing work. Great insight. Holly is the truth teller, and I'm the sappy one, Denise. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me.